Welcome into the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, episode 62. And we're here to talk everything NFL, college football playoff. Before we do that, let's start with a new segment. It's going to be the fastest 2 minutes. Not the Chris Berman fastest 2 minutes. It's going to be the best things of the sports weekend. And we saw this last night. The Chiefs with their bullshit walk-off doink for the division.
Divisional doink right there.
Well, that's overwhelming.
When he hit that, did you think that he had missed it?
No, I thought it was going to sneak in, and then I saw it hit the left upright, and I was like, oh, it hit it so flush that I was like, oh, it's coming back the other way. Like, I thought it was going to miss, and then I realized it was the Chiefs, and I was like, oh, yeah, it went in. So I thought
it went in, but I was praying he missed it.
Yeah. That's what. I wonder how many. Yeah, this guy
was the best, right? The cheesehead.
Oh, yeah.
He's the man.
Oh, yeah.
Lions were absolutely balling. And Dan Campbell was doing Dan Campbell things against the Packers. Went for it on fourth down 5 times in the game, and including this one right here when Jared Goff fell down.
The crazy. Listen, that one was nuts. But knowing Dan Campbell and like you were saying he was going to go for it, I was like, there really is no reason. You know, it's like there's a hilarious meme online, and it was Dan Campbell in The Price is Right, and he on the wheel he had a 95, and it says, I'm going to go ahead and spin it, Drew. It's like, well, you've already won the game. What the fuck are you doing? So that's just Dan Campbell in a nutshell. The one that was even worse than that was it like early in the third quarter when they had a lead and they went for it on like their own 25 on 4th and 1.
It ran a toss and lost 4 yards.
Yeah. That one was really, really bad. But yeah, that's what he does.
Then Jake the Snake from 31.
Yep.
Bates, baby, right down the middle. Lions walk it off. They're 12-1. They're going to the playoffs back-to-back years for the first time in 25 years. Last week, Josh Allen did something that no NFL player had ever done. He threw and ran for a touchdown on the same play. Set a record. This week, Josh Allen set a record as well with 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns in a single game. The first player to ever do it. Yeah. Josh Allen was absolutely balling. Set a record. And even in a loss, what did they score? 42 points?
Yeah.
That was a heck of a game.
It's pretty crazy that the only way you can beat the Bills is by scoring more than 42.
You need Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford. How about this dude right here, Darren Rizzi, losing his fucking mind. I mean, the dude is
surprised he didn't assault that woman official right there. Look how angry he is.
Look at this. What does he say right here? He goes, wait for it. No shit. No shit.
Is that a long snapper he's going after? Like, who the fuck is that guy?
I thought it was the punter, but now that you say that,
it's got to be. It could be a punter, I guess. But I mean, he's got like he just looks like a long snapper.
Look at Alvin Kamara being the adult in the room.
That's crazy.
That dude should not be a head coach. Just saying. Okay, how about my man Kadarius Toney here? Should have picked up a penalty for throwing the ball. That's Quran.
Oh, no, he did. They gave him one.
They did throw it.
No, they gave him one. And then, by the way, I didn't see that view of that, and not to say that I would ever defend the guy, but I didn't see that view of that, and he went to the sideline, and then he was just like, nah, man, I wasn't throwing it at him at all, just like convincing all of them. And when I saw from the different angle, it looks like he's throwing it to the ref. He's absolutely throwing it in his back. Talk about a guy that, and I don't like saying this, but like, the guy is such a fucking nutball that it's like he's going to be out of the league. Obviously, after this year, he's out of chances, especially after this next clip we're about to watch here.
And then he just, the way, it's not just that he drops the punt, it's the way after he drops the punt.
Oh, man, shit. Nah, well, fuck. Yeah, I mean, the guy is just, there's a reason he was a first-round pick, and everybody's given up on him. Except the Brownies are like, let's see if we can get some life out of Toney.
This was my favorite coverage clip of the week. How about D. Alford? What are you doing? What are you doing, brother? Where is he going?
Oh yeah. Oh no, and he fell down too. That's brutal.
But hey, look, the Vikings. Sam Darnold 5 touchdown passes. He was balling in this game. Okay, Sam Darnold was throwing.
Yeah.
dimes.
So we kind of had that game on. Obviously, we had all the games on, and it was the game was 21-21, I think, and then Atlanta just ran away, Minnesota ran away with it. I had no idea that I wasn't paying that close of attention after they took the lead. I had no idea he had that good of a game.
Well, look at this. But with 2 minutes to go in the second, he had 85 yards and a touchdown, and he finished with like 300 plus and 5 touchdowns. Like, it was a weird
and
thing.
Addison went crazy too, so I should have figured. And Jefferson did, so I should have figured Darnold had that good of a game.
I was looking at the numbers, and we'll talk about that when we get to the NFL, but the Falcons outgained them in that game. They had 500 yards of total offense and lost by 21.
Was Cousins just throwing picks again?
He had 2 picks, but I mean, it's like they just find ways to lose games. But this is my favorite clip of the week. Did you see this? This is after Darnold's 5th touchdown.
No. What on God green earth? But the funniest thing about that is it wasn't even like in a sports bar, like the guy was drunk. That looked like it was at a Denny's. Like, it looked like that guy was just high on life, high on the Vikings performance. Because that was like,
brother,
I don't know what was going on, but that was pretty damn funny.
Brother, I'll tell you, that guy was high on more than life right there. He was high on way more than life right there.
Is this Loyola?
Yeah, now watch this.
After they,
Just watch, okay? Look, Loyola taking on Eastern Michigan in college basketball. We're going to go to some college hoops here. And they beat Eastern Michigan in this one by double digits.
Yep.
Played really well. But I want you to watch after the game.
Oh, I saw
when
what
they're going to
happened.
the tunnel. Look at these fuckers. Look at this. Look at what they did to Sister Jean.
Walking past 135-year-old Sister Jean like that. That is some bullshit. Oh, my God. Who would do? I mean, just heartless scumbags. I think literally the next day they were doing damage control because I saw something where everybody was like giving her hugs and high fives. Like, I don't know the context of it, but it's like that. I mean, that's a bad fucking look. Like, if I'm the head coach, I'm like, are you guys out of your, like, I mean, just running them until they die.
I didn't even know Sister Jean was still alive. How old is she?
Dude, she's 104, I think.
Is she 104?
Yeah, it's something crazy like that.
Oh,
I just remember Portnoy had a personal vendetta against Sister Jean at some point.
Of course.
He's like, I don't like Sister Jean or something like that. I forgot what happened.
Oh, she's 105 now. She turned 105 on August.
And the fact that you blow by her like that when she's just trying to give you a fist bump is sickening.
It's a disgrace. All right. Ashlyn Watkins here.
Yeah.
This was in the South Carolina game.
If she dunks this ball, we're going to have a big dog ball check. She did it. Yeah. That we're going, Big Dog is flying. We'll keep everybody posted at home. Big Dog is flying to Columbia, South Carolina for an official ball check on this one.
I have to say this. All right.
As he says.
I have to say.
I mean, dude.
Last year, I watched her play, and I said, there's no way that's a woman. And I'm no disrespect, but I said, there's no way.
And she's not helping he or she's cause taking off and dunking this that easy. Like, run it. Yeah, I mean, she gets there pretty. I mean, that wasn't
like a
windmill dunk or like, jumping from the free throw line. But this is.
I mean, she takes off from outside the center circle.
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
that is some athleticism right there. That's like you have to prove to me that you're not a man at that point.
Yeah, we gotta alert the authorities on this one.
All right, last one, buzzer beater of the week. We had UCLA taking on Oregon. We were talking about this game yesterday, and I was like, we were talking about how the heck did Oregon lose this game? Well, here's how they lost the game. Oregon, Dylan Andros here with the step back, and the bank is open, baby. That is such an ugly miss. With
they were down 1 at that point.
They were down 1. Yeah, they were down 1, and he nailed the buzzer beater. He lost the ball. He loses the ball.
That was a street ball move. The slip and slide.
Slip and slide.
He called glass too. He was trying to make that off the glass.
Shout out Carl Stevens. The funniest shit when we were younger. We used to play in the backyard, and Gary would be over there, trying to pick a fight with Carl. Carl would beat the shit out of Gary all the time when we were younger.
That's not true.
Oh, and
Gary's a tough guy.
I fucking love Gary. Gary's one of my favorite all time people. But Carl used to we'd be playing 1-on-1, and like he sat there like for hours all week before I would get over there, and he'd practice the slip and slide move so he could do it against me. And he'd be like 4 feet away from me doing the slip and slide back and forth.
I could see Carl practicing that for hours on end.
100%. Okay, but that was our fastest 2 minutes.
That was good. It was a good little recap.
Yeah, good little recap, kind of outside of our norm of stuff. So let's get into some of the stuff. Before I do, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you're listening on an audio platform only, give us a good review, subscribe, download our content, helps as well, and check out our Patreon and subscribe there. $5 a month helps support the channel. We're going to get into some stuff. We're going to go best thing we saw this week like we normally do. We're going to go to the Brookie of the week, and then we're going to start with the college football playoff up top, and we'll go into some NFL at the end. Switch it up. We normally start with NFL, but since the college football playoff is kind of the big deal.
And thank God we don't have to talk Cowboys today. They played tonight.
I was thinking about that earlier today. We might have to do like a little game preview. I don't know. But all that said, I want to give a couple shout outs real quick before we go. Shout out to Zito's. I haven't given him a shout out on the show in a while. Brad sent me I forgot to respond because I saw it this morning when I was trying to get out of the house. But Brad sent me a picture last night he's in Las Vegas, and I won't air out the number, but let's say Brad hit a nice jackpot in Vegas. So,
nice.
Yeah, Brad's the man. I love Brad. One of the best dudes I know, and go check out Zito's. Get yourself a serious sandwich. Best sandwich place, not only in San Antonio, not only in Texas, in the entire United States of America, in the world, really. Get yourself a serious, get yourself a meatball, get yourself an Italian, you name it. I'm going to go over there after this. I went there every day last week. Every day. Went there for 6. They were not open on Sundays, but I went there Monday through Saturday every single day. That's not a lie. I swear to God, I actually did go there every single day.
I remember you used to go twice a day.
And guess what? I can lose weight going there because I go get a wheat bread meatball sandwich or a serious, and I just eat that for lunch every single day, and it's good, and it's real good. Yeah. It's not bad for you. Okay, and get a bowl of beans as well. Check out Zito's. That's the best place. With that said, we're gonna move on here to the best thing we saw this week. You want to go or you want me to?
I'll go. Best
ahead.
thing I saw this week: SMU getting in the playoff over Alabama. It's interesting to see if they would have screwed SMU if they lost that game by, double digits, 17, 20. But they fought all the way back. Get clipped at the end by just a crazy field goal from a freshman, apparently. I didn't know that. But there's a clip of the kicker winking at the bench, and they're like, this guy's a fucking freshman. He nailed it. It was an incredible kick. It was cold out, too. But anyway,
55.
glad SMU got in. They deservedly so. Alabama had 3 losses, 2 of them being, I'm not going to call Vanderbilt a bad loss because Vanderbilt, we respect Vanderbilt here. It wasn't a bad loss, but Oklahoma was. And anyway, SMU just deserved it. I'm glad the committee did the right thing there and didn't give in to the SEC pressure. And I'm interested. We'll get into college football more, but I would say that's the best thing. I don't want to talk more in depth on that because we're going to get into it.
Well, since we're here, let's just talk about it. And when we go to the playoff, we'll go to the next spot from there since we're already on the topic. And I just want to talk about SMU. Do you think that SMU, if they just, so the committee, so what the committee did when you saw it, it was pretty clear. I knew, and everybody was saying the playoff got leaked. So I didn't see the leak, right? Like I woke up and watched exactly what happened and had no idea if the playoff was leaked. So, but early on when they were releasing it, they went from number 1 down, right? And so when I saw Texas was still ranked number 3 and they were going to get the 5 seed, you knew right there that when Texas got the 5 and Penn State got the 6, that they were not penalizing teams for conference championship losses. You knew the whole time SMU was going to get in, or at least I did.
Yeah. That makes sense. I wasn't watching the show. I told you, I think that night I thought they would get in, even when we did our little preview show last week. You did. I just didn't think there's any way with 1 loss that they were going to keep them out, as long as they didn't lose by 40 points, right? Sure. Whatever. But the committee, and they're doing the right thing there, because it would set a very, very dangerous precedent if you start penalizing these teams bad for losing their conference championship games. And then, like you said, teams are like, well, screw. What's the?
You can opt out.
Yeah. I don't know if you can, but you say you can.
I think you can opt out, and it's like, well, literally, what Lashley said is he's like, well, our whole team could have gotten COVID this week, and we could have just not play. Like I don't know if you can actually. I think you can opt out, but it's also just I was listening to, and I'm not a big Joel Klatt fan, but I was listening to Joel Klatt this morning talking about it, and he's like, look, when these TV deals are signed, right? They're signed for teams or for conferences specifically, and they're looking to have, X amount of big games. Like, okay, yes, we're going to broadcast 100 games, but, these 7 or 8 games are going to be our big money makers, right? A big part of that is the conference championship game, right? Like, that's a big money maker for these TV networks. Yeah. If you render that game meaningless, what you're in big trouble, right? From a money standpoint, and TV contracts for college football right now are a big deal, big driving force in the college football playoff, and what's going on in the landscape of NIL and all of those things. So for them to do that, they basically had no choice. Now, my question to you, down 24-7, if SMU loses that game by 17-21, do they still get in? Or does the committee actually put Bama in?
I don't know. I think it would have been, I think most people would be like, oh, they would put Bama in. But like you said, with those other, now keep in mind, those other conference championship games are very close, right? I mean, I know Oregon was in control most of the game.
Yeah, but it came down to the last possession.
It came down to the last possession. Texas lost in overtime, right? So it's like, it's interesting. Yeah, if you get the doors blown off you there, do they end up getting penalized and knocked out? I don't know. I still think it would have been hard for the committee to do with them only having one loss and not losing in the losing in the conference championship game. Who knows? But once they got it to what was it? They tied it up. But once they got it to like 7, I was like, at this point, they were down 7, driving with the ball. If they would have thrown an interception there or whatever, they would have been fine. So
I at the end, once they lost the way they did, I did my own little preview, like the night, like 3 a.m. that night, Saturday night, what I thought it was going to be. And I got all 12 of them exactly on the dot. And I figured they would do that. I figured they would let SMU stay in because of that.
No, SMU obviously still, heavily penalized for not winning the game, because if they do, they end up as a 3 seed, right?
Huge difference.
So, yeah, it's a huge difference. Now they got to go into Happy Valley and play Penn State in the cold, which is, not to say that Penn State's an elite football team, but it's a tough environment.
Very tough environment.
And SMU, doesn't play a lot of super cold weather games or anything like that.
Yeah, they're an 8.5 point dog.
But if you do somehow win that game, you get Boise State.
We'll come back when we get to this, but I agree. That's the problem with the playoff. We're going to talk about some of the issues with it and some of the things that we think might be coming in terms of changes.
Yeah.
And we'll talk through the bracket. But yeah, that's a problem, right? Like that Penn State and Texas got benefited from losing their conference championship games. To an extent. Okay, best thing I saw this week. I'm going to go with a touchdown celebration. I came to this guy a couple weeks ago. His name is Cameron Bynum, and this guy is an absolute G. So Cameron Bynum, or Cam Bynum, he plays for the Vikings. He's a cornerback. He did that celebration a couple weeks ago where he mirrored the breakdancer in the Olympics. Remember that? He got an interception, returned for a touchdown, and he did the break. But it was
ray gun.
Right, but it wasn't just that. He basically had the entire thing choreographed, like to a T. And so this week, and I'm gotta find it on here now. So Cam Bynum, after the touchdown, they had this entire thing choreographed. It's the dance from White Chicks. And they look at this. They literally do it perfectly, exactly the same. They must have worked on this for the week. And the whole team is up there jumping the way the crowd is in the movie. I mean, it is fucking hilarious.
They spent a lot of time on that one.
Like, how long were they choreographing this? Is he
the same guy that did? I know he did the ray gun one, but did he also do the? Dude, I think he may have also. That's awesome. I think he may have also, and I could be wrong. It may have been another player, but maybe him and the same guy did the handshake from Parent Trap that they do. That's the secret handshake that goes. It's like a minute long. I don't know if it was him or not.
It probably was.
You'd have to find out. Let me look it up. But yeah, that's an awesome celebration. He did the ray gun too.
He's like, I'm curious how long that was planned for them. Like, how long have they been choreographing that thing and like had it ready to go? Because that's like a 30.
It was him, Cameron Bynum, on recreating the Parent Trap handshake. You put that one in there too.
Yeah,
It's the first one he did. Then he did the ray gun, and then he did this one. So I guess he's just gonna go for all the movie celebrations.
Dude, that is
but
so awesome.
But now that they got this turnover, that they're gonna have to. They're probably working hard this week.
It's gonna be hard to top that one, especially because they got the whole team to go up behind him and jump like the crowd is. That makes it so good right there too. Like, that is like the mirror image of the movie.
That's awesome.
He's a legend. Okay, let's go to Brookie of the week here. And before we get into college football playoff talk, you want to go?
Yeah, my Brookie of the week, Ashton Genty. Another 200-yard rushing game against a crazy 7-8 man. Like the whole team's in the box and he still runs for 200 yards. He had an awesome run that was 75-80, so that helped the total yardage. But
still,
yeah, he's a stud. He deserves the Heisman. I hope they give it to him. I know they're not going to because the media has already anointed Travis Hunter the Heisman winner.
You think that the odds are reflective of how it's been bet by the public, or do you think that those are actually reflective of the true odds?
I think those are reflective of the true odds.
Really?
Genty's what?
Currently, last night when I looked, Travis Hunter was minus 2,500. So you bet 250 to win 10.
Yeah.
Or Ashton Genty was 10-1. Bet 10 to win 100.
It's over then. They never fuck up that Heisman stuff. It's always pretty much spot on.
That's sad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, not to say that Travis Hunter, listen, I get it. I would give it to Genty. Travis Hunter's had a really good season. Obviously, he plays a ton of snaps on both sides of the ball. He's, whatever the numbers are, what is he, a top 10 receiver in football? And he's also a good corner, so I get it.
I don't even think he's a top 10 wide receiver.
I'm making it up, but I know he's like top 20, whatever. I know, and I'm just talking about numbers-wise, whatever. I'm not talking about actual, ability, but very good cornerback. I get why they would want to give it to him as the two-way player, but Genty's had an awesome season. And I wish they would have let Genty, get the ball against Portland State and set Barry Sanders, touchdown record and the yardage record. But, I guess credit to him being that unselfish that he's, worried about the end goal and wanting to win a playoff game.
Yeah.
The coaches, but if they actually tried to feed him the ball, he would have broke all
every
the records.
record.
Yeah.
And he basically sat out of almost 2 games.
Yeah, the Portland State game, I think he didn't have a touchdown and only got the ball 140 yards. But if he would have played, if they would have given him the ball 30 times in the Portland State game, you're looking at least another 3 touchdowns, and at least another 300 yards, probably. I mean,
literally, I've already mentioned this stat 100 times, but he leads the country in yards if you just took his yards after contact.
Yeah.
He's ahead of everybody else. It's absurd what he's done. And he actually, so I was listening to somebody talk about this, and I believe this is true. The bowl game technically does count. Now, Barry Sanders did it in 11 games, but more than likely he will break the yardage record because he needed 330 going into last game. He got 200, over 200. And so he needs somewhere around the 130 yard mark in his next game. And he's going to guaranteed one more. So I think the lowest number he's run for this year is 125. So he would have to have a horrific game in the college football playoff game to not break the record.
Now, if they're playing Penn State, obviously it's a little bit different than playing the Mountain West.
Sure,
now, obviously Penn State got gashed this week.
Right.
But I wouldn't.
No, I agree.
I don't necessarily expect Boise State to be able to do that to him, but who knows?
They ran. He had a $190 against Oregon, so you never know.
Yeah.
Now Oregon got gashed. Now you look at Oregon getting gashed by Penn State ran for 9 yards a carry on them. So, okay, my Brookie of the week before we get into college football, Cam Skattebo, another running back, and I know you tried to one up me with your Rookie of the week going before me and picking the Heisman favorite, but I'm an Ashton Genty guy. I have an Ashton.
He's not the Heisman favorite.
Sorry, in my personal record book, he is. Now, Cam Skattebo in the Big 12 title game ran for 170 yards on 16 carries. He had over 200 scrimmage yards, 3 total touchdowns. He was the best player on the field, MVP of the Big 12 title game. Look, this guy, he was not ranked as a recruit coming out of high school. All right, he had 0 FBS offers. He had his 2 offers from the Division I. I don't even know if they're FCS. I think they are. Were William and Mary Tribe University and Sacramento State. Yeah. And
Hornets.
I love that you know that they're the Hornets.
Sacramento State, usually a good FCS.
Sacramento State has he played there for 2 seasons. Then even as a transfer, he was a 3-star transfer, goes to Arizona State. He split carries last year, ran for 800, 900 yards. And then this year, he is one of the best running backs in the country. He's second in the country in scrimmage yards. Ran for over 1,500 yards and had over 500 yards receiving. Second in the country behind only Ashton Genty in total scrimmage yards. 5th in the country in rushing yards. And look, he's the best player on his team who was picked to finish dead last in the Big 12, 16th. And they are going to the college football playoff. They have a fucking bye. And the pure reason is him and their quarterback Sam Levitt and Kenny Dillingham. But Cam Scatterbo is what makes them go. That's the definition of a Brookie right there. All right. I can't believe
he really is.
He is. I can't believe I haven't had him on as a Brookie before or on the Wall of Grit. We need to have our Wall of Grit where we put all the Brookies, or Wall of Brooklyn, and we put all of our Brookie winners up there.
Yep.
But he deserves it. Let's go to college football, and quickly we'll run through a recap. If you didn't watch and you used this show to recap, or if you did, or if you do check the scores but you didn't watch every play, we'll go through everything for you here. Let's start with the conference championships. We had 4 Power 4 conference champions determined last week, or on Saturday, Championship Saturday. We had first game, the Big 12 champion, Arizona State Sun Devils, which I just mentioned. They blew out Iowa State 45-19. It was never close. Like I said, Scatterbo over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Levitt was awesome. That guy's actually really good. He's a good player. Hopefully he stays there. I would think he would, but he's had a heck of a season. They earned the bye. Iowa State's obviously eliminated. We had the ACC title we talked about already, where we had Clemson up 17 in the fourth quarter. SMU makes a crazy comeback. If you didn't watch it, SMU scored with 15, 16 seconds to go. And then Clemson returned the kick. SMU, when they scored, they tied the game, and Clemson returned the kick to the 45-yard line, ran one play and got in field goal range with 9 seconds to go, and was able to kick a game-winning 55-yard field goal. Clemson would not have been in the college football playoff had they lost that game, but they get in and basically knock Alabama out, because had SMU won that game, there was no question Alabama would have been in as the 11th seed. So in that sense, I am glad that they won. But I want to talk real quickly. We said the Big Ten, Oregon won. SEC. Just let's talk before we go playoff. I want to talk the SEC championship game because it's Texas.
Yep.
All right. We had Wes and Reed on the show to talk on the college football show Wednesday night. Got that out on Thursday morning. But we all kind of picked Texas the same way. We both picked Texas on the show when Texas played Georgia in Austin earlier this year. And look, it was very similar in the sense that Texas's defense largely dominated the game. The first half, Texas had 226 yards of offense and Georgia had 53. And yet, Texas was only up 6-3 because they couldn't capitalize in the red zone. Quinn Ewers could not score touchdowns in the red zone. And then Carson Beck injures his hand or shoulder on the final play. They have to go to a kid, Gunnar Stockton, who had never really played meaningful snaps. And yet, despite all that, Texas had a 3-point lead, playing against a backup quarterback, never really been in the mix, and Georgia was able to win the game in overtime 19-16. Any takeaways from that?
The Texas defense played great again. Georgia's defense was, Texas moved the ball better. Obviously, still couldn't run it very well. The problem is with Texas, and I agree with you, I think they're better. I think they would be better with Arch Manning in there. Obviously, Sark's not going to do that. We've seen that. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
People can quit dreaming about it because it's not going to happen this year.
You could get hurt.
But the thing is when, and you've touched on this a little bit, but when you don't have to worry about Quinn ever running the ball, he's not a threat to run it. If Arch was in there, obviously you'd have to worry about his, being a dual threat. And when he does come into the game, he typically is running it, like that first play in overtime. But what happens to that Texas offense, I think, especially against Georgia, is look, I understand that Georgia has had, games where they give up a lot of yardage, they give up points, but on paper, obviously it's a really good defense, right? So when you get into the red zone, Texas can move the ball, but then once you get in the red zone and the field's condensed, man, and there's no threat to run it, they know you can't even hand the ball off and run the ball against them. It's really hard to score touchdowns when you get down there, no matter who your quarterback is. I agree that Quinn could have been better. He was good in the middle of the field, got in the red zone, wasn't great. But a lot of those plays, when we would go back, sure, you would see someone coming open late or someone would be open, but it wasn't his first read. And then he's getting hit in the mouth. And I agree with you.
Well, he didn't get hit because he doesn't take hits.
That's what I'm saying. He's unwilling. He doesn't want to get hit. He's unwilling to stay in there, deliver a strike, and get hit. I would agree with you there. He doesn't want to get hit. But it's just once you get into the red zone against a defense that's got a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys out there, whether you're moving into or not against them in the middle of the field, and Kirby Smart, who's a pretty smart defensive mind, knows that it's like, hey, they still can't run the ball on us. You don't have to worry about the threat over the top. Field becomes condensed, and it's just really hard to score on Georgia down there for Texas. So, I mean, Quinn threw what, 1 pick?
2, and a third was dropped.
He threw 2. I can't remember this. I'm trying to think.
What happened?
I remember the first one.
So the first one was you could say it was not a good throw. It should have been caught by Isaiah Bond, and it got intercepted.
That one. Yeah.
But
one a good throw, but should have caught it. Yeah.
But he also threw one in the red zone that was that you could have caught, that I could have caught, that was dropped. And then Texas missed a field goal right after that. So you could argue that he threw one that should have been picked, and then that one shouldn't have been picked.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah. He thought it was man-to-man, and it was zone, and he threw it up.
It was a horrific.
And Kurt goes, Herb Street goes, he could have fair caught that one.
And he just dropped it.
Yeah.
But so I think
it's missed a field goal, right?
Yeah.
After that.
And so it cost us big, but you could argue that those are right, because then the third one, or the second one actually, was the worst one. It was basically Texas has the ball with 3.5 minutes to go win the game, and he threw an interception on 3rd and 10 down the right sideline. He threw it short of the sticks by 5 yards, right to the defender.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is about college football and just quarterbacks in general, there really aren't, like, just think, right? Like, outside the box, like, there's no one that I can think of, like, even on these big teams, right, that just, as far as college quarterback, the only exception that I would say is Dylan Gabriel. And the only reason he's an exception where he doesn't make sometimes he does, but he doesn't typically make really bad throws, is because Oregon throws. Did you hear the stat during the game?
Yeah, it's the second least air yards of any Power 4 team.
He throws nothing but 3 or 4
yard routes. It's like Bo Nix last year. They just throw screens
and slants and these little ribbon routes. I mean, it's so that's why he didn't put the ball in danger. But any quarterback in college football, just like, I'm trying to think of someone that just doesn't. But it's like, whether it's Carson Beck or whether it's Quinn Ewers, they always put the ball in danger. They just do. So I mean, it's give and take. Quinn made some good throws. I agree. Obviously, could have been better in the red zone. I don't necessarily just put like you do. I know you put the loss squarely on him.
No, I actually really don't.
I don't. Well, okay. Well, I don't. I just think that, their inability to run the ball really or get anything going in the run game hurts. Now, they could have been better in the red zone, obviously. And I am with you. I do think that there are times that he could hang in there and deliver a ball and take a hit, and he is unwilling to do that. So that part I do agree with you. He doesn't like getting hit.
So they could not run the ball at all. But if you factor out, we were talking about how much they would have run for. I'm just looking at this right here. So they actually would have run 58 on. Yeah, so they ended up, you're right. We were right around it was 2.7 yards per carry. Yeah. Quinn had 6 carries for negative 27 yards. So, and that's mostly sacks. Now, couple things. One, I really don't put the loss squarely on Quinn. What I would say is, my problem with Quinn Ewers, and I've said this, and I get overly, emotional in a game because I love Texas, but you made a good point when I was saying this. It's like, how many quarterbacks would be better than Quinn? And I think the more I watch him, that, like, throughout the course of a game and some of the throws he makes in this system, maybe not, maybe there's not a ton, but I just think there's zero shot. He gives you 0% chance to win a championship. Like, in all honesty, if you cannot, that has to be a large part of it, has to be on him. Like, my feeling is a lot of quarterbacks who are supposed to be, the kid was a top 3 Heisman candidate coming into the year, right? Has he lived anywhere near up to those expectations? Not even close. Okay, not even close. And even early in the game, I said this out loud. I said, wow, this looks like old Quinn. He's kind of dealing right now. He was throwing it really well. And every time we get in the red zone, and like you said, you made a good point, we couldn't run the ball, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like we couldn't run the ball at all early. Like, it was like, oh, by like the second quarter, we've kind of abandoned it. We're not running it all that well, and we've stopped trying to. And his lack of mobility, well, me and Bailey were talking about this earlier. His lack of mobility is a big reason why we can't run the ball against a good defense like Georgia, right? We can do it against A&M's front. We can do it against Kentucky's front. When you get against a bunch of 5-stars with a good defensive coach in Kirby Smart, and he knows that Quinn Ewers is 0% chance of designed runs, right? Like, he may drop back and throw and scramble here or there, rare, but he might. but he's never going to keep the ball in his own read, right? So there's no belief he's ever pulling the ball. So his limited mobility kills any ability to be dynamic offensively. It hurt Sark's play calling, and I said this to you out loud in the game, and I stick by it. Biggest problem with Quinn Ewers. He is, in a lot of systems, not even, talked about. He wouldn't even be talked about if he didn't have Sarkisian as his head coach. If Sark does not scheme somebody open for him, he can never make a play. He's never going to make a play by himself that helps you win a game. That's my problem with him. And because of that, my standard to him is this team is a national championship level team, correct? The defense, the receivers, for the most part, the offensive line, for the most part, you would say, is there a better team if you remove quarterback in the country right now? Would you pick a team better than them if you remove quarterback play?
No.
So real quick, and then you can respond. So Quinn is not that level. Well, and I get it. There's not a lot of guys that level.
That's what I was about to say. I don't know who you want.
I get it.
Let's go through the playoff teams. You want Cade Klubnik over Quinn?
Yeah, but he's not really a playoff quarterback.
I'm just saying.
But there's guys who aren't playoff teams too.
You want Nico over Quinn?
I don't know. The way Nico's played lately, he's played better than Quinn lately.
The answer is no. You don't like Nico.
I don't like Nico.
You want Will Howard? No.
No.
You want Dylan Gabriel? Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
One. SMU's quarterback? No. You like that he can run, but I mean,
no, I don't like him.
Yeah,
but my
no.
Again,
Drew Alar? No.
But see, here's the thing.
Indiana Rourke? Sure.
Absolutely, I would take him.
He's been playing.
But some of the guys you just said, but some of those guys you just said, if you put them in Texas' offense, you don't think they would be as good as Quinn's been this year? If you put Kevin Jennings with all those weapons in Sark's offense, if you put Drew Alar in that offense, and I don't like those guys. I'm just saying he's not better than those guys. He's not played better than those guys this year.
I wouldn't say he's better. The problem is Sark's unwilling to make a change, and Quinn Ewers can't move with that ankle. So, I mean, he
can't move even if his ankle's healthy.
I agree that he can't really move. He can move a
little bit.
A little. And at this point, he can't move. He's just like Kirk Cousins standing back there. He's not going to, he's not going anywhere. Yeah. These teams know that. So, Sark's unwilling to make a change. So then, in my opinion, and I know you love Sark, but I get that Sark made the agreement with this kid. And it's a slippery slope because he can't. All of these people know that agreement, like quarterbacks, especially like when you're recruiting, knew that Sark brought him back. So if he goes back on his word and be like, "Hey, sorry, we're starting Arch,"
I agree.
So then what you do? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But Quinn just can't move right now.
Do you think?
And not to mention, I agree with you. He's not the most mobile guy anyway. But I do think, that guy's got a serious brace on his ankle. So do I think Art should be playing? I've said this before. Yes, Texas is much more dynamic with him back there. It's just not going to happen.
No, it's not.
But my point is when you look at these other guys on these playoff teams, sure, most of them are more mobile than Quinn, obviously. But when you really look at it, maybe, and I mean maybe, you could make an argument that you'd rather have, obviously Cam Ward's not in here. If you had him running around
Sanders,
back there, sure. But I'm there's 5 to 6 guys maybe that you'd be like, yeah, I would absolutely rather have him. You know what I mean? And then there might be 4 other guys that you're like, yeah, in the Texas offense, they might be better. But my whole point is
there's more. I think there's more than that. But yeah.
But right now, especially with him not being able to move. But my whole point is, it's like I said, you don't want Klubnik. It's just I get it. It's listen, Klubnik can move, right? But Klubnik misses guys that are wide open.
Klubnik's not. I can't. Klubnik's horrible.
I
would never
Nico's
take him.
The same way. Great athlete, but as far as touch on the ball, he doesn't throw any touch.
At this very moment, I would take Quinn over Nico.
He's got a cannon. Will Howard sucks.
But there's a lot of guys. I think if I went through, there's a lot of guys on teams that are not playoff teams that legitimately. I'm not saying that they're just infinitely better right now. But I just believe if you put him in this offense I think Sark is the best play caller offensively in college football. I really do. I think he's phenomenal. And so I think you put him with all these 4 and 5-star weapons and with an offensive line that has been talked about as the best offensive line in college football. Now, they didn't have Kelvin Banks on Saturday. But look, Quinn wasn't pressured like he was in the first game. Okay, so there's the excuse the first game was, there was guys in his face the whole time. There wasn't guys in his face the whole time this game. The protection was really solid. And a lot of the times, the reason that he couldn't make a throw and the reason he was 27 for 46 is, like you said earlier, he refuses to step up and take a hit. And that's my problem with him. He won't step up and take a hit for an SEC title game. Arch will hang in there. Arch will lower his shoulder on a run. And Arch has way more to lose. Arch is way bigger of a prospect than Quinn in the NFL.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers won't even take a hit in the pocket, yet he's willing to throw the ball over the middle of Silas Bolden with the guy headhunting him and almost kill him. He'll lead a receiver right into a safety, but he won't take a hit in the pocket. Who wants to play for a guy like that? The team gets excited when Arch gets in the game. You can feel the energy go up.
Agreed.
And so I nothing I'm saying you don't agree with, and what you're saying I completely agree with, and we can move to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I just am frustrated as a Longhorn fan that time and time again, and I know this, it's nothing I don't know. It's just so frustrating when you have a team that can win a championship and it feels like one guy is holding you back. And again, I want to clarify this. I like Quinn Ewers as a guy. I'm talking about him as a football player. I think Quinn Ewers is a fine football player. I just don't think he's the guy to win a national championship for Texas, that's their goal, right? Their goal is to win the SEC, to win the national title. And I think his limitations are the reasons that they will not do those things this year and did not do it in terms of the SEC title game. Let's go to the playoff.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with most. I really do. But
I'm not saying there's a solution.
The solution is if Sark wanted to 5 weeks ago when his ankle was, but you put Arch in there and say, hey, he's playing really good. We're going to go with the hot hand. Sorry, you got hurt, and look at what our offense is doing, And guess what? If it doesn't turn out that way and Arch isn't playing that well, then you go back to Quinn. But, yeah, it's the whole handshake. You're definitely going to start, and in my opinion, that's what's going on with Texas. Because they're much more dynamic with Arch.
Okay, so let's talk college football playoff. And I want to talk, first of all, what we talked earlier about SMU Bama, right? That was the big debate. Any problem? I'll transition and ask you about concerns moving forward with the structure. But in terms of, we already just assume that we have the structure. Any committee get anything wrong? Do you think the seating is correct? I projected it to be exactly what it was, and I don't have any problem with it.
I think it's correct. It goes to show you, I guess, which with those conference championship games, besides just looking at who gets the automatic bid into it, they really don't put a lot of weight on those games in the sense that, listen, I get that Clemson is the 12, but if you just beat SMU, right, a lot of people thought that they were going to be the 11. That's what people thought. I don't necessarily agree with that because Clemson only won by a field goal, right? It was a very close game, and SMU still had one loss. But then people go to the head-to-head argument, and they're like, well, Clemson's in, and they beat SMU head-to-head, so how do you not? I mean, I don't. To me, that's the only argument. I would have left Texas at 5. I would have had Penn State at 6. Notre Dame with the loss to Northern Illinois, they're 7. I mean, this is the way I would have made it. My only where I would say they could have gone either way with it, and I wouldn't have cared, is the SMU Clemson.
If
deal.
you were in the committee, would you have flipped? Not that it matters that much, but would you have flipped them, or would you have left it Clemson 12, SMU 11?
What was Clemson ranked coming into this week?
17, and SMU was 8.
Yeah, it's a tough call. Like, if they would have beat them, I guess, by 7-10 or 2 scores, maybe you do it. But with it just winning, them blowing the lead, SMU fighting back, and then at last second field goal, I guess you just keep it the way it is. Because like you said, they also showed that, with Texas staying at 5 and Penn State staying at 6, they didn't want to penalize teams for losing that conference championship game, right?
Yeah.
So going into it, SMU had a better record by, two in the loss column. So they just kept them there. I think it would have been fun. I kind of wish they would have made SMU the 12 because I would have liked to see them in Texas play in Austin. That would have been a fun deal.
Yeah.
And then send Clemson with the 3 losses, so you can go play at Penn State in the cold, where SMU is going to stay at home and play Texas. But and honestly, when you look at it, not to say that you're almost, I know they're the 11th seed, but you're almost penalizing SMU more in my mind by sending them to Penn State to play in those conditions.
So? I get the conditions, but I think Texas is a way harder matchup. I think
that's a good
Penn
point.
State's significantly more beatable.
Yeah, that I would agree with that.
But I do agree the conditions.
It is weird though that Penn State's favored by 9. Texas is what?
10.5.
Yeah.
Oh, it went to 11.
I mean, it's weird. If you're SMU, I I don't know. If you asked SMU what they would rather have, I'd be interested. I would almost think it would be split down. I know they think Penn State's not as good as Texas, but a team that just has never played in those kind of conditions going to play in the snow, I don't know. But the plus side is, like we talked about it, you get Boise State at 3 there, and both those teams would probably, SMU would be favored against Boise State.
Yeah, they would. Yes,
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, I guess when you think about it, the conditions suck, but yeah, you'd rather play Penn State and then get the shot at Boise. I would agree with that.
They don't have a bad path.
Yeah,
I do think the conditions playing there, that sucks. And it's kind of like again, it's funny because Penn State loses their conference title game and gets, they benefit, and SMU loses and has to go play on the road and in those conditions. But I would have kept it the same. And I want to talk about the other stuff, but the only reason I say that is if these teams were equal, like let's say Clemson went into that game 10-2 and SMU was 11-1 and Clemson beat them by 3, I would have said, okay, flip them.
Yeah.
But they had 3 losses, so it's not like the teams are equal. SMU had 1 loss. They had a 2 game better record than Clemson going into the game and lost on a game-winning field goal in a 1-game sample size. And you can argue essentially that was essentially a home game for Clemson. The game was in North Carolina. And that in the ACC title game where Dabo's comfortable and where there's probably 75 to 80% Clemson fans, it was obviously a much easier travel for the fans, and it's just their backyard. So I think Clemson, if that game was a more neutral location or Clemson beat them by a lot more, or if they had an equal record, it'd be different. Now, I guess I'll ask you this: which of the first 4 matchups do you think the underdog has the best shot to pull an upset? Which of the 4? So we have Indiana at Notre Dame as the 7-10. We have Tennessee at Ohio State as the 8-9. We have Texas taking on Clemson at home as the 5-12. And then we just said it, Penn State 6 taking on SMU 11. Now, I think, obviously, if you look at the seedings, you would say the Tennessee-Ohio State, because that game could have gone either way in terms of where it was played. You could have argued that game should have been in Neyland Stadium, and that's a completely different line. However, where it is, every single game is above a touchdown in terms of the spread. So it's not like any of these teams are small dogs. They're all big dogs. They're all between 8 and 11. So who's the team that has the most likely shot to pull an upset?
Man, I would say, like, if you were playing indoors or something, Tennessee, but going to Ohio State, I don't know what the weather is supposed to look like, but you have Nico, who's, the Polynesian, playing outside. We see how well that goes for Tua. Usually it's not a good combination. I would say SMU. I just don't think Penn State's all that great. And if they don't have horrible weather up there, I think SMU can keep that game close. I don't think Penn State blows them out. I think they have the best chance of an upset.
Okay. I
would go with SMU.
I would say of the teams in that 5, 6, 7, 8, like the home teams, I would say Penn State's the weakest of those teams. They're the most susceptible to lose to not a bad team, but an inferior opponent.
Yeah.
I'm going to jinx this, but I don't think there's any fucking way in the world that Clemson beats Texas. I just would be shocked. Although, Quinn could throw 3 picks and then all of a sudden we're down. But I'm going to say Tennessee, and that might be a cop-out because that's the obvious answer, saying the 8-9. But I'm going to say it because I know that weather would benefit Ohio State if it's cold up there, which I'm sure it will be. But if you think about what Tennessee struggles with, it's defending the pass. They're really good against the run. Can a Will Howard really take advantage of that secondary in super cold weather when he's already struggled most of the season? Like, if Tennessee can limit explosive passes in that game, that number's too high. I'll just put it that way. If Will Howard, if they have the receiver, they definitely have the receivers, right? Like, they have the receivers to exploit them. But if Will Howard can't get those receivers the ball, it doesn't matter. And that offensive line's been back and forth. They've been really good sometimes and been not great sometimes, right? Like, if that Tennessee front can get pressure on Will Howard and affect that secondary or affect that receiving core, and they can't take advantage of Tennessee's weak secondary, and that game's a close, grinded out running style game.
Yeah, Tennessee should just run the ball the whole game.
They should shorten the game, try to put pressure on Will Howard. I think in that case they have a shot. I also think you just look at Ohio State, like, that somebody mentioned it on the program. Like, is that really a good thing for Ohio State to be playing a home game? Like the last time they walked off their home field, they were fighting Michigan, booing Ryan Day and Will Howard off the field. And, it's been just a disaster over there since. And everybody's talking about how if Ryan Day doesn't win a national title, he's going to get fired. Like, do you really want to go back? I mean, obviously you don't want to play that game in Neyland Stadium, but is it the best thing to be going back to your home stadium right now? Like, that might be a really weird, that's just a bad spot. They might come out and be just pissed off from what happened and have a great game plan. They've been off for a long time, and now so is Tennessee. But, I don't know. I think that's the most
Tennessee
likely.
Just got fucked on the draw. It's easily
Horrible.
The worst draw. At Ohio State, then they got to go, neutral site, but they play Oregon next, and that's easily the worst draw in the whole deal.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
They would have paid to be the freaking 11. Like, no, we'll move down to the 11 and play Penn State and Boise State.
No, seriously, but that's my thing. Okay, so do you think that this needs to be addressed? So the two problems that I have with it, and I want your take. The two problems that I have with this are, number one, okay, in my opinion, next year, I'm all for having conference champions get automatic bids.
Yeah.
Right? What I don't like is that no other sport do you get a automatic bye for being a conference champion. Now, the only thing you could argue would be you get a home game for being a conference champion if you're in the NFL, right? But besides that, there's no other, like in college basketball, in a tournament like this where there's a committee and they determine who goes, there's 32 conference or 36 conference champions. They get at-large bids. They don't get a bye, right? They don't get if you win your conference championship, you have to be a X number seed or better, right? Like you could be the 16 seed and be playing in a play-in game to play Kansas in the first round if you win your conference.
The only thing I worry about with that is, and it's a good point, but I get the other argument, because I actually tend to side with that one. The only other argument I would have is so that could dilute the conference championship game already more than it already is, in my opinion. Because for example, you're I
see your point.
Yeah, say you're Georgia, right? And it's like, hey, these conference championship games, you get an automatic bye. An automatic entry, but Georgia knows, hey, we're playing Texas. Like, why don't we just get help or whatever? It's like, we'd rather be the 11 seed, whatever it may be. And
could happen.
Listen, it could happen in this approach to, like, with this deal as well, but I just don't. Yeah, I mean, I get both sides of it. I don't like that Boise State and Arizona State have a bye. But then the flip side of that is, what happens if we're playing those games where you don't get a bye and it's just like, well, Texas is playing Georgia, and like, sure, you want to win the SEC. Those guys want to win conference titles, but then it's like, do we really want to, for Georgia anyway, in that game against Texas, it's like, we get to be the 2 seed. If we win, we're the 2 seed, and we're going to play Notre Dame. Now, I'm just saying, now that may not have even interfered with it, right? We don't know that, right? Maybe they would have been the 2 seed even if it wasn't, but are you saying no buys at all?
No. So here's my thing. I think what they should do is you continue to, the format's the same in terms of there's 4 buys, right? And if you win your conference, they can say, okay, hey, the 5 highest ranked conference champions get an automatic bid, and then there's 7 at-large bids, right? So so you get the 5 conference champs and then the 7 automatic the same way you do now. They all are in, and from that point forward, now the committee seeds them, and here's how I think you fix part of it. So they seed them based on basically the ranking. So in other words, if we were looking at it now, it would be Oregon would be the 1 seed, they would get a bye. Georgia the 2, they get a bye. Texas the 3, they get a bye, and you would have Penn State the 4, they would get a bye. Now, here's how I would fix it as well. You reseed at the end of the first round, and end of every round. The worst seed plays the best remaining seed, and so forth. And that, I think that fixes both, because here's the thing. Like, and I agree, your point is very valid. Now, here's what I would argue back. Okay, think about the SEC title game, right? Georgia had 2 losses going into that. If they lose that game, there was legitimate talks of like, okay, they might not host a playoff game. Now, the way the committee did it this year, they would have, but in general, they didn't know that. And we don't know going forward. Like, if Georgia loses that game by 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, right? Like, let's say they don't play everybody, right? And they just say, we don't get healthy. They don't play. They could drop to 7, 8. They could drop to 9, and now they're going to play somebody on the road all of a sudden, and it's a completely different path. Plus, the reseeding aspect of it would help. Instead, they win. They get the 2 seed. They get the bye. And they know at the 2 seed, right, it matters because not only are we the bye, we get the second worst remaining team if they reseed at the end of the first round. I think that fixes both of those things.
If you reseed it, it definitely could solve it. I like that idea. I've always agreed with. I think that should happen in every playoff.
It should. And you think about like the Big Ten championship game. Okay, would that have mattered under that format? Yes, it would have, because Oregon wants to keep that number 1 overall seed, meaning they're playing to keep that number 1 overall seed so that they get the worst remaining spot. After that, Penn State's trying to hang on to a bye. As long as we keep this close, or if we win, we could get a bye still. Whereas if we lose this game, we're dropping to the 6th seed. To me, it might have been more meaningful in that sense for Penn State at that point than it was in general. Same thing, ACC. They're both still playing to get. SMU's playing to get in. Clemson's playing to get in. The Big 12, same thing. So I think the way you look at it, if you change it, at least in this year, and there's always going to be an exception to the rule, I think all the conference championships matter just as much if you do it that way.
Yeah, I like the idea. If you reseed, I just don't know. I don't think it'll happen, but we'll see. I mean, a
lot of people are calling for both those things.
Yeah. Well, no, I would agree with it. I don't necessarily like the buys. I just think the only pushback on it, and like I said, who knows? I agree with you in most circumstances, right? In most circumstances, the game would probably mean just as much. I just think that they worry because, like you said, these games are big money games, these conference championship games. I just think that they perhaps worry that, hey, if we don't give out buys, and this is just probably their worry. I'm not saying it's necessarily true.
You're right.
If we don't get out buys and these teams are playing, are they even going to really, are they going to play as hard? Are they even going to care?
No, it's a good point.
I mean, a bye, like you said, it's worse for Boise State and teams like Penn State, but I guarantee you, I mean, obviously Penn State likes their road, but if you were offered a bye, I think most of those teams would just be like, yeah, we want to take a bye and get help. I mean, I get that their road essentially now is easier, but playing one less football game, right, and just having the week off and getting healthy, that goes a long way too.
Do you think Oregon would rather, if they were like, hey, would you rather play SMU at home, and if you win, you get Boise State, as opposed to getting a bye and having to play more than likely Ohio State in the second round? Do you think they would take their spot, or would they move? I
don't know. It's a good question.
It's the question that the fact that it's even a question is a problem. Is
Agreed.
My point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if you're watching this and you're kind of trying to follow along, or you aren't specifically watching exactly what happens, the reason we're saying this is because Texas and Penn State both lost in their conference title games, and yet they both essentially have easier paths to the semifinals than the 1 seed and the 2 seed, right? Georgia's more likely going to have to play Notre Dame on a neutral, and more than likely Oregon's going to have to play Ohio State or Tennessee, whereas Texas and Penn State, if they win, Texas will get Arizona State on a neutral because they got the bye, and Penn State will get Boise on a neutral. Penn State and Texas will be bigger favorites in their games than Oregon would be. Oregon would be a dog probably against Ohio State. And Notre Dame, if Carson Beck is out, will probably be favored against Georgia. And there's a legitimate shot that those two teams are dogs, and Texas and Penn State are favorites in their matchup.
Well, I think, too, even if we don't get rid of the buys, I still think they should reseed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, why? I mean, why? When say Clemson knocks off Texas, Arizona State shouldn't get to play Clemson.
100%.
They should go play Oregon.
I
agree.
What
I mean? So that's the deal. I don't know. I have a feeling that the buys could end up being fixed. I don't know. I think we're at least a few years away from that, right? Because we just got here, and they don't. Nothing usually happens fast in college football. It's usually at least a few years away. But I think you do. I do like the reseed. Say Oregon. Clemson pulls upset. Well, Oregon plays the lowest seed available, and you just keep. And at least do that first round of games, and then you can go. I don't know. I think it should happen all the time. I think it's the hockey. Or no, NFL playoffs do it, right? You just play the lowest available. Yeah. NFL gets that right. I don't know why they wouldn't do it, but yeah.
It's simple. I don't know why they would. Now, again, it's the first year of this. I honestly think that they might be able to address that pretty quickly. Like, I think that's an easy fix because to me, and we don't have to beat a dead horse. We'll move on from this, but to me, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I would love to listen to somebody give me an explanation as to why Boise State, who is ranked 9th, and Arizona State, who's ranked 12th, who both would be borderline playoff teams if we were just talking about it large. That's why they're ranked where they are. Why those teams deserve a bye when Arizona State's best win is fucking Kansas State, or whoever, I don't even know if that's their best win, and Boise's best win is fucking UNLV. Like, to me, they just did nothing to deserve a bye. They won their conference. Good for them. They deserve to have a shot. I like the idea of giving a team like Boise State a chance to go to the playoff, and they're actually ranked higher than Arizona State. I just don't like that a team like Texas or Penn State, right, whose only losses are this year are to top 5 teams, right? Those two teams both have to play a first-round game where Boise State and Arizona State get to sit at home because they beat Iowa State and UNLV in their conference championship game. Like, kudos to you, but it's not fair. It isn't. No matter what you want to say, it's not.
Yeah.
Right? So,
but then I guess the argument back would be, well, then when your conference championship game is in, you get a bye. I get it.
That's stupid.
I get it. I'm just saying that's what other people would argue.
My response is that's stupid. That's fucking stupid.
I like reseeding personally.
It's fucking reseed and don't give Arizona State doesn't deserve a fucking bye.
I will say this. Simple. I will say this. You know, the good news with all of this is at least we have a 12-team playoff.
I agree.
Not 4.
No, I will say
because then we would have think about yesterday with 4-team playoff. How big of a cluster?
More than likely, you think it would have been those top 4, or would Notre Dame have snuck in?
That's what I mean. They put Notre Dame in because they only have one lot. I mean,
more than likely, it's interesting because more than likely the way the last couple of years ago, like Georgia was 12-0 last year, lost in the conference championship game, and did not make the playoffs. So more than likely, Texas and Penn State would not have gotten in.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why it's interesting how they did seed it is completely different than how they've done in the past.
Would have done with 4. Yeah.
So it is interesting the way they've done this, but I agree. Like I will wrap this up by saying my issues are outweighed by the fact that I am excited to watch this, and it's going to be a blast. Now, every other bowl that was already becoming more meaningless is now infinitely less meaningful, with the exception of the Alamo Bowl, because
shout out Coach Prime. Dion says we play bowl games, all right? You know what? I'm coming full circle around Coach Prime.
Shut the fuck up.
Full circle. I'm a Prime guy. The way he took care of Miss whatever her name was, 100-year-old, and he took in the press conference, good guy. Coach Prime.
I'm not saying he's not a good guy. He's just a fucking narcissist, and he's overrated as a coach.
Here we go.
Oh, we need to put some respect on our name. You beat like Texas Tech as your best.
I obviously hate all the social media shit, but it's probably smart that he does that because he gets guys that.
Sure, it is. But enjoy playing in the Alamo Bowl. It really helps. You have two top 5 draft picks.
What a coach! What a coach! What a
playoff.
Team!
All right, so we're gonna go to a quick game. It's called Bowl or No Bowl. Okay. I don't know if that's a good name for it, but I'm coming up with this on the
bowl
spot.
Or not.
Bowl or no? Yeah, bowl or not.
Bowl or not.
I'm gonna give you a name of a bowl game, and you're gonna tell me whether it's an actual bowl game name or if I made it up.
And these always change every year, so this is pretty tough.
It's pretty tough, and
there's been some stupid ones for years, but
I will say, because I need to, in order to make it creative and tough, it's going to be historically, has this ever been a bowl game? If this has ever been a bowl game, or is not, so I'm not going to try to trick you and give you. I'm not going to try and trick you and give you one that used to be and say no, it's not. So if it's ever been a bowl game, it is a bowl game. Okay,
let's go.
All right, so here we go. Let's start. Number 1, we're going to go with the Bush Baked Beans Bowl. Is that a bowl game or not a bowl game?
I'm going to say that was a bowl game in Florida at some point.
It's not a bowl game.
Damn it.
They give you baked beans. They give you a little cup of beans, a little can of beans when you go in there.
That sounds like, but because Bush has those commercials too with that dog, the secret recipe dog. It seems like they would have had a bowl game. No, think. Bailey, you would think. Yeah. I thought that was real for sure.
Okay, well, I want Bailey to answer too. Okay, number 2, the Pop-Tart Bowl.
That's real. Yeah, because I remember the fucking dancing Pop-Tart, and then I forgot who played in it. But then at the end of the game, there was like a life-size Pop-Tart that came out, and all like it was massive. It was like the size of a car Pop-Tart, and the players got to eat it.
Also, that's actually awesome.
Yeah, and there was dancing. The Pop-Tart, the mascot. There's a Pop-Tart mascot.
Wait, they ate the Pop-Tart off the mascot, or was it different?
No, it was just a giant Pop-Tart at the end. But yeah, the Pop-Tart was like dancing around where they ate it. Yeah, it was a weird deal. I don't know. Is it still around or no?
It is. No, that's just this year.
Who's playing in that one?
I actually don't know.
It's okay.
But I saw it on there yesterday that it was the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah, Pop-Tart Bowl is real.
I got you on that one last year, if you don't remember, because I remember you had said something with your brother, and you were like, yeah, he was talking about the Pop-Tart Bowl, and I was like, is that a real bowl? He goes, no, he fucking made that shit up, and then I looked it up, and it was a bowl game.
You never know it. You never know it, Jeremiah. Most of the time, he's just messing around full of shit. But yeah, no, he occasionally will mix in the truth.
Okay, Mr. Peanut Sun Bowl.
Okay, well, this is kind of tricky. I'm gonna say yes because you said the Sun Bowl at the end of it. The Sun Bowl is a bowl.
Okay,
game.
I think I fucked up on that one because the Sun Bowl is a bowl game, but I just thought of that Mr. Peanut is. I made the Mr. Peanut part up, so we'll scratch that one. That doesn't count. You don't get
because I was about to say
there is a Sun Bowl that doesn't count.
It used to be the forever. It was the Frosted Flakes Sun Bowl.
Was it actually?
It was Frosted Flakes, and then there was a. Trying to remember who had it before because that game's where Trey played football at UTEP, so Sun Bowl. But yeah, that's what. But it was funny because I literally was going to say no because I was 90% sure it had never been Mr. Peanut, but you kind of tricked me with the Sun Bowl at the end there. But okay,
here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
The Academy Sports and Outdoors Firearms Bowl.
Well, okay. Here's the kicker because you're confusing me here too. I thought there was an Academy. You said the Firearm Bowl. Okay, it's not a bowl game, but there was an Academy Sports and Outdoors.
There probably was.
I think it was the Texas Bowl or like First Responder something. Academy had one at some point. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, the Firearm Bowl. No.
I thought you were going to say yes for a second.
Well, when I was going to say yes until you put firearm on the end, I was like, I don't think they have that bowl game.
All right.
That would be a game we'd have in Texas, though. I can see it happening.
The Beef O'Brady St. Petersburg Bowl.
Absolutely a bowl game. Been around for years. The Beef O'Brady's.
That is.
I think it's a Sun Belt. I think you get a Sun Belt team versus like.
Is that still a bowl game?
Like Sun Belt versus Conference USA, the Beef O'Brady's.
It's possible.
Used to be.
The Bacardi Bowl.
Ooh, this makes me think. I'm going to say no because I don't think they allow alcohol in the names.
This was a bowl game, but it was back like in the 40s or 50s, I think. It was a long time ago. It was a black and white picture on it. So, yeah, that was one.
Like it.
Okay, a couple more. The Amazon Prime Delivery Bowl.
Not a bowl game. Sounds like a bowl game, but not a bowl game.
I thought I would get you with that one. That's
not
pretty
a
good.
bowl game.
I thought I was going to get you.
I don't ever remember that.
There's got to be, coming up soon, there's going to be an Amazon Prime bowl game.
Yeah.
Maybe not because maybe it doesn't make any money, but
yeah.
Okay, the Hooters MILF Bowl.
That's not a bowl game.
It would be USC versus South Carolina in that one.
Yeah.
The Cox versus the Trojans, baby.
The Cox versus the Trojans.
Okay, we'll go a couple more here. The SeaWorld Holiday Bowl.
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna say yes. Because obviously the Holiday Bowl's there, but I don't remember SeaWorld ever being a sponsor. But the reason I'm going to say yes is because the game's played in San Diego, and there's a SeaWorld in San Diego. So you may have tricked me, but I'm going to say yes.
No, that's a bowl game.
Okay.
You got it. That's
it used to be it was Pacific Life Holiday Bowl forever, and then it was the forgot who was the sponsor after that. Pacific Life, and then anyway.
All right, you're 6 out of 8. We're going to go 2 more. Ready? The Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Yes, of course. You get mayo dumped on you if you win.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl is real.
Didn't Shane Beamer win that? I think he got it dumped on him. South Carolina won. Yeah.
And then I think
everybody's like, "Oh, there's nothing like Duke's Mayo." It's hilarious when they do the shit at the end.
I think this year Will Levis dumps the mayo on you. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really? Because he's
I don't know. I made that up, but that would actually be awesome.
He is sponsored by Dukes.
That's what I'm saying. He's sponsored by Dukes. Okay, last one. We've got the let's see, I'm trying to look for one here. Do I go with real or fake here? Okay, let's go with the Birthplace Bowl.
It's called
the Birthplace Bowl, and it's in Piscataway.
It's in Piscataway?
It could be if it's real, or it's not.
It's
and
the
I'm making
birthplace
it up.
of football? Yeah, it's not a real bowl game.
It's not a real bowl game.
No.
But it is hard to win in Piscataway.
What other ones you got on there?
Let's see. What other ones did I make
Actually,
up?
you know what? My records
Zin Bowl.
Well, yeah, Bailey said the Zin Bowl.
Sony PlayStation Bowl. Pirate Bowl.
The Sony PlayStation Fiesta Bowl was.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you were going for.
420 Smoke Bowl.
Got it. I mean, there are always some interesting names out there. I'm gonna go look now and see the bowl games now because I haven't been able to look because we had to do that segment.
The what? Yeah, GoDaddy. The GoDaddy.com.
Goaty had one for
GoDaddy.com
sure,
bowl. Yeah, and they used to have those commercials with the girls with the big tits. Yeah, and then that guy who started GoDaddy, he started PXG, the golf company, as well. That guy's a entrepreneur right there. Okay. You went 8 out of 10. That's pretty good.
Now it's the DirecTV Holiday Bowl.
Is that what
I love how the Birmingham Bowl doesn't have a fucking sponsor.
I know. Nobody wants to sponsor that game.
That's disgusting. That's going to be a great game, though, Bailey. Vandy, Georgia Tech. Actually, Georgia Tech.
It is. That's a good game.
Georgia Tech, Vandy's a great matchup.
I said that earlier. Hopefully most of those guys play. Okay, we're going to play quickly WNBA or not.
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, I've been ready. Do it last week.
Been chomping at the bits for 2 weeks.
It's time to play WNBA or not.
I'm ready.
Here we go. Number 1, WNBA or not.
Zoom in.
Here we go. Is this a WNBA player or not? By the way, you did win last time. I think you went 3 or 4 out of 5. But you won.
Did you flip a coin for this one?
Or
is that not going to be revealed?
I honestly can't. No, wait. Like I went with what I thought I flipped last time. But I can't remember. I don't think I did. I'm
going to say not a WNBA player. I think she's a golfer.
I thought I was going to get you.
College lacrosse player, close
enough.
That
one hurts because that was a pretty tough one. Maggie Hall.
1 for 1, baby.
College lacrosse player, Maggie Hall. That fucking hurts.
Yep.
That one hurts. That one stinks.
That's too high class of a picture right there for the WNBA.
We
got big houses in the background. Look at those luscious locks on that guy right there. I mean, those are looks like a lax, bro. I should have said lacrosse, but I said, what did I say? Golf. Yeah, close enough. Whatever. Lacrosse might as well be a country club sport. It's a tackle football of country clubs.
That was a kick in the nuts to lose.
1 for 1.
All right, number 2.
I'm going with my gut. Yes.
Not even a hesitation.
Yep. WNBA player.
That is a WNBA player.
Yeah. Look, sometimes you just gotta go with your gut, Bailey.
That's Arike Gumbawale of the Dallas Wings.
I nailed that one.
Oh, this might be a quick one here. He's 2 for 2 already. I need
1 out of 3 here.
All right,
1 out of 3.
Number 3, WNBA player or not?
Zoom in. Let's see here.
WNBA player or not?
Okay, we got a giant leg tap. It goes from the ankle.
Yep.
Okay. Man, the problem is, I just don't know. Looking at that picture, I don't know how tall she is. She didn't look that tall, but she's down on the steps. I'm gonna say that is a WNBA player.
Fuck.
3 for 3, bitches.
I thought
I'm the greatest to ever do it.
I thought you were gonna miss that one.
That ankle, the ass tattoo she's got going on the side, and being down on the stairs right there, I could tell she was a little bit taller. God, I'm good at this. I'm a professional.
I gotta hand it to you so far. It's been pretty good.
God, what if I go perfect?
All right, number 4, WNBA player or not?
Now this is a toughie. Okay, zoom in. Trying to see what we got going on here. Is that boxer from the Olympics that's got a dick? Proven, by the way.
Not
proven.
Not proven.
Proven.
Alleged.
Proven.
As you told me last week, you can't go around saying
that is not
without saying allegedly.
Oh yeah, I think she gets enough heat. That's not a WNBA player.
That's the fucking boxer. That's the fucking boxer.
Did I nail it
on the head?
Holy shit!
Holy shit! This is crazy.
God, this is the chance at absolute perfection.
This is divine intervention right now.
Dude, if I get, how did I nail that?
See, I even was nice enough to put her name and his or her name and say unsure he or she. I'm trying to be respectful of
whatever. I nailed it, and I got bonus points for the comment. Can he go 5 for 5 with the bonus point for the boxer?
Would Big Dog do a ball check on her?
I don't know if he wants to, but yeah, he would. He'd go for it. Here we go.
I don't know. He's been saying some very homoerotic
can he do it?
Lately.
Drum roll.
Number 5. Is this a WNBA player or not?
Dude, this is such a bullshit picture. Fucking selfie from a fucking car. You piece of shit saving this for last. Locking it in. Not a WNBA player for perfection. Has he done it?
Yeah.
No!
God. If you got
what
that one.
What a fucking bullshit picture. That is horse shit.
If you got
oh my God. And you know what? I was basically perfect because I called the boxer with the alleged penis. This is, oh my God. This is crazy, dude. That was absolute perfection.
I was going to walk out. I really was.
Dude, it's such a stupid picture that I should have known it was a WNBA player.
I thought it might be overly obvious because
God,
because there's no way. She's very good looking in that picture. There's no way that's a WNBA player. I thought I was gonna. That's a tough one, and it is. That's Carly Samuelson.
Me the fuck off. That was perfection. And I get this.
Oh God.
Mid 30-year-old in a car, and I'm supposed to know it's a W. Come on, dude. Come on.
Got him.
Winning.
High five.
Great success.
I never felt more like a winner when I've been a loser, I have to say. I feel really good about myself getting him on the last one. I would have been devastated. I didn't put like tons of time in this one, but I would have been.
It was actually a pretty good one. Like, I mean, it was
pretty good.
I just thought, I mean, when I hit the first one, I had the momentum going. Then I saw the boxer with the alleged penis, and then we got to last. And I mean, this threw me for a loop.
He's a rhythm player. He needs to get in a rhythm.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you know, it's like Keith Frazier said. And if I'm 1 for 4 in warm-ups, I'm hot, baby. All right. Let's move on. WNBA are not done. Turner is the winner. I am the loser, but I feel like I won on the last one, getting him on Carly Samuelson. Let's go to the NFL. We haven't talked NFL yet, and we got to go through some. We'll just kind of go through and summarize.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Thursday night game. I know that was a while back to most people, but just quickly want to touch on the Lions clinching a playoff spot for the second consecutive year. That's the first time they've done that since 1994.
Get Carly Samuelson off the screen.
She's pretty cute, though.
I don't care. She ruined my fucking perfect game.
Okay,
Get her off the screen.
Sorry. That's a funny picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'll put up a good picture for you while we're doing this. Okay, so the Lions win the game against the Packers. Jared Goff, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. The Lions weirdly didn't run the ball out that efficiently. They only ran for $111 and only 3.3 yards per carry, and the Packers actually outgained them by 1.5 yards per play. But they ran 40 less plays or 35 less plays than the Lions. Do the Lions, I guess let's start with this. Are you concerned that the Lions haven't looked great the last couple weeks? They probably should have lost 2 weeks ago to the Bears. They survive a close game against the Packers. Is it
It's just all about
injuries and divisional games, or is there actually something to be concerned about here?
I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. I think it's injuries and divisional opponents. But I mean, if you look at their injury list, it's insane.
It's ridiculous.
They're missing I think, is it like 6 or 7 starters on defense?
I don't know if this is accurate, but I heard 9 on defense.
Yeah. I mean,
from the start of the year.
They've lost like their whole defense. So
yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know how quick these guys are going to get healthy or what. But the Lions found a way to win the game. With Dan Campbell doing all kinds of crazy shit like he always does. That's Dan Campbell we know and love. That's why his players love him. So, will it cost him the playoffs? Sure might, but it ended up working in this game.
Yeah, so I think my one thing with the Lions that I would say I'm concerned about is even when that defense is healthy with who they have, you take off I guess Anzalone probably will come back. He had a broken forearm. They said, 6 to 8 weeks. Well, hopefully he'll be back for the playoffs. But then you're never getting Hutchinson back, right? Like he's done for the year. I don't know. I don't think Aaron Glenn's a great defensive coordinator. And I just don't know that they have enough in that secondary unless that Lions offense looked like they did early in the year. And the Lions offense, I know they put up 34 points, right? That looks really good. They haven't looked as fluid the last couple weeks. And I get it. Look, it's the NFL. They're not going to be perfect every week, but they have so many weapons. I kind of expect them when they're not injured to be really good. And they've been good, not great the last couple weeks. I don't know. Maybe it's a midseason lull. They're winning games. It's like the Chiefs. They're definitely not the Chiefs, where the Chiefs should have like 4 or 5 losses. Like the Lions should have won pretty much every game. I'm a bit concerned about the defense. I'll put it that way. Like I don't think they're far and away the best team anymore because the Eagles have looked better. Although I will get into them, they did not look good yesterday. The Eagles have looked better. The Chiefs are winning games, right? The Bills are, despite losing yesterday, are still really good. I don't believe that the Lions are so much better than everybody that they can get away with having a bad defense. Like they need that defense to be serviceable to win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. And right now they're not. And that is a bit concerning to me.
Yeah, they're just going to have to get healthy. We'll see what happens.
On the other side, the Packers, I feel like I'm asking myself the same question every single week. What exactly is Jordan Love, right? He's like up there in the top of the NFL in interceptions, but he's like top 5 in yards per pass because he just chunks the ball down.
Yeah,
the
he
field
just
every
puts
play.
the ball in his gunslinger, just throws it up in the danger and tries to get people to make plays. The thing about it is, if you are throwing interceptions, and listen, interceptions are not good, obviously. And I'm not going like good picks, bad picks. No pick is good. However, if you are taking 50-yard shots down the field and that is where the ball is getting picked off, sure is a lot better than throwing a pick 6 across the middle or something like that. Not to mention when you just force the ball down the field in this league, you're going to get PI 25% of the time anyway. I mean, it's like throw it up. If you have one-on-one, sure, the occasional pass is going to be intercepted. There's no doubt about that. But you're also going to get some catches from your big play receivers. You're also going to get a lot of PI. So I don't necessarily love the way he does that. And will that hold up in the playoffs? Probably not. But when you look at it, they're going to probably play like the Bucs or the Seahawks in the first round in a game that I would probably expect them to win. And then you play either, Philly after that or Detroit probably. So it'll be interesting. I mean, or maybe even Minnesota, right?
So right now, and I want to I kind of had on the list that as we're going through these games, I kind of wanted to discuss the playoff pictures. So I guess we can just go there right now real quick, and then we'll kind of go through the games after we do that. So right now, as it stands, the Lions obviously have the bye in the NFC. The Eagles are the 2 seed. They would play the 7 seed, which is the Washington Commanders. The Seahawks, number 3, would take on the Green Bay Packers in Seattle. And the 4 seed Tampa Bay Bucks would take on the Vikings in Minnesota. Do you think, let's just talk real quick because we just kind of finished talking about that game and I agree with what you're saying with the Packers. Do you think the Packers will win that first game against Seattle? We'll start there. Think they would win that against in Seattle in a playoff game?
I mean, I think, man, I don't trust Seattle. Not that I really trust Green Bay. I just think Green Bay is a more complete team than Seattle. Will they be able to win that game on the road? Who knows? But I think they'll probably be favored by like 1, right? Something like that.
Sure.
So pretty much pick them. And I just think the Packers are better than the Seahawks overall. I bet, going to Seattle on the road is obviously a tough place to play. So who knows?
Okay, so that's...
But yeah, sure. To not play the fence, I would take the Packers to beat them.
Okay.
One. Yeah, I'd say they're going to win the game.
Do you think that the Vikings would win their game too against the Bucks or Falcons, whoever that? Probably the Bucks.
Yeah, I think they'll win.
So you think the NFC North would likely sweep, and there'd be 3 of the 4 remaining teams in the second round would be NFC North teams?
I think so.
Yeah. I think it's very possible. They're going to be favored in those 2 games. The Lions, barring collapse, because I believe their strength of schedule is significantly higher than the Eagles. I think they would have to lose. And the Eagles, I believe, are going to lose a game or 2. We saw yesterday. They've had a couple of close calls. The Lions are probably going to get the 1 seed. So more than likely, you're going to have a bye for the Lions, and then you're going to have 2 NFC North teams favored on the road. They're not going to be big favorites. This is the NFL, but they're going to be favored on the road in the playoffs. So we were talking about this last week, how incredibly good that division is. It's unbelievable. And if you look at the losses on that division, right? Okay, the Lions lost to the Bucks, so that's 1 loss. They shouldn't have lost that game. The rest of the division, I know the Vikings lost, I believe, to the Lions once. And did they lose to the Lions twice? I know one of those losses comes to the Lions. The Packers have lost to the Lions twice and the Vikings once. So there's only been 3 losses in this of those 3 teams who have come outside the division all year.
Yeah.
So it's just been very, very good division. Okay, quickly, because we'll talk through this. Do you think that the Commanders hang on to that 7th spot? Or I don't think Atlanta, Arizona, or San Francisco is going to get in via anything but winning their division. If those teams won their division, they're all 6-7 right now, so they're 2 games in the loss column behind Washington. So I don't think Atlanta, Arizona, or San Francisco, especially the way those teams are trending, will get in. But the only ways they could is if they won their division. But the other team that's sitting there is the Rams at 7-6. Who do you give the upper hand to? Rams versus Commanders in the playoff picture there.
Man, I think the Rams are a better overall team. They've showed that lately, but I'm just looking at the Commanders' remaining schedule.
I'll pull up the Rams.
At Saints, Eagles, Falcons, at Cowboys. Man, that's not a very tough schedule, and they have a game in hand.
Here's the Rams schedule. I got it on the board right here. 40 at the 49ers, at the Jets, versus the Cardinals, versus the Seahawks. All winnable.
Yeah.
They'll be a dog to San Francisco, but it won't be by a lot, and they'll be favored more than likely in both the Cardinals and the Seahawks game, I would think.
So what happens? Did the Commanders and Rams play this year or no?
The Commanders and Rams, let's see, did not play this year, it looks like.
So it just depends who holds the
tiebreaker. It would come down to
tiebreaker.
divisional record, I believe. And so I don't know who has the better division. Actually, definitely the Commanders, because the Rams lost, I believe, to the Cardinals. Oh no, they beat the 49ers. Let's see.
So conference record, the Rams are 4-5.
Is that what it is? Is it conference record?
Against your own conference or your division? I would assume it's probably against your conference and not your division if you're comparing teams that are from different divisions, right? Or they come down to division. I have no idea.
I'm going to look it up real quick.
Yeah.
NFL tiebreakers.
I have no clue.
For wild card spots. Let's see. Head-to-head, best one loss tied percentage in games played within the division. Wait, is this divisional? Let's see. Yeah, this is within. Sorry, this was in the division. To break a card, tie for a wild card team. If the teams are tied or in the same division, then the same applied. If they're in a different division, head-to-head, best win-loss percentage in games within the conference.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
So the Commanders would have that edge.
Is
the Commanders
are set?
The Commanders are 5-3 and the Rams are 4-5. So not necessarily. I mean, they could still
have
catch
3 games. So let's say they won.
It's 2 in the loss column though.
So who do the Commanders have left again? Tell me.
The Commanders are playing. I had it up. It's the Cowboys, not in order, but it's the
Cowboys. They probably have the Eagles left. No, they already played the Eagles side. Cowboys, Giants.
Yeah, Cowboys, Giants. Damn it! Where the hell are they? Where did the Commanders go? Oh, they were on a bye this week. That's why I can't click on them. Okay, here they go. Saints, Philly, Atlanta, Dallas. So no, they don't play the Giants. So at the Saints, you would expect them to win that game, but I mean, who knows?
That's all NFC
I think
teams.
Carr got hurt.
He did?
Yeah, they said he left the game late. Didn't he, Bailey? There you go.
So he's out for the year.
Yeah, so give them a win against New Orleans.
Well, yeah, more than likely.
Versus Philly at home, probably a loss.
They still play Philly again? I thought they already played them twice.
Versus Atlanta and then at Dallas.
Okay, so that I wouldn't say it's over because if the Rams were to go 3-1 and win all 3 of the NFC games, and the Commanders go 2-2 and lose 2, and then they're tied there. And I don't know what the next one would be in common games. It could come down to a bunch of tiebreakers. So,
so that's still a race.
So do you think the Commanders will hold on to that spot more than likely?
I like the Rams, man. I'd tell you teams in the playoffs would rather play the Commanders than the Rams. That's
no,
for sure.
100%. But I'm just saying, I'm going to say they'll hold on to the spot.
I'm going to say they hold it. Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Okay,
because they're up a game.
It's interesting because I like both those teams, and I don't like the Packers. They're gonna get in, but I would rather see both the Rams and the Commanders. I like the Rams a lot. We're both big Rams guys, both big Stafford guys. Love Kupp, love Nakua. Not a big McVay fan, but I think he's done a good job. But I would love to see Jaden Daniels in the playoffs. So that would be cool to get him in the playoffs the first year. And it would be kind of a shitty way to end the season. They played so good to start the year. But they have to start winning some games. They know they won last week, but they've got to start winning some games.
Yep.
Hopefully the bye week helps them a little bit. Okay, real quick, AFC playoff picture. We've got the number 1 seed, obviously, Kansas City Chiefs. Very similar here, kind of. So Chiefs are going to probably get that bye. But the Bills losing this week really hurt. Like, the bye, because the Bills have the head-to-head over Kansas City, but now they're 2 games back of KC.
Yeah.
Probably not going to catch them. So more than likely, Kansas City's going to be the 1. Now the 2 seed could go either way because the Steelers and the Bills are both 10-3 right now. And I think the Bills will end up getting the 2. Regardless, Pittsburgh's the 3. Houston is currently the last division leader at 8-5, although the Colts are only 2 games behind them. I don't think the Colts are going to catch them. Baltimore would be the top wild card spot in the 5. LA the 6, and Denver is the 7. The Colts and Dolphins are on their heel. Will the Denver Broncos hold that last spot?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident this is exactly how this is holding up.
You think so?
Yeah.
You don't think the Dolphins could make a run here?
Potentially, but it won't be the Colts. The Dolphins.
I don't think they will. I don't think
they're going to catch the Broncos 2 games up on them.
And I will say this. I think Bo Nix is playing much better. Like, I want to say that. I don't think Bo Nix is great. I think the rookie of the year odds are ridiculously close. Like they're not. I mean, Daniels is a 3-1 favorite, but they shouldn't be that tight. I think Daniels has been exponentially better than Bo Nix. But I will say this: I was critical of Bo Nix early, and to his credit, I'm trying to be a more positive person here. I'm trying not to just be a hater. To his credit,
that's big of you.
I know. Look. I need
making progress.
I'm having epiphanies left and right where I'm gonna have a heart attack and die if I don't calm down. So, it's very likely. I'm cramping my neck is like cramping, and I'm yelling sometimes. It's becoming,
that's not good.
It's not good.
That's not good.
My carotid artery is about to explode.
Yeah.
But beyond the point is, I think I'm proud of Bo Nix. Good job to Bo. Okay, he's done a good job. He didn't have his best game against Cleveland, but he made some big plays, and he's playing really good football right now. And that's partially why the Broncos. I mean, obviously they have a great defense. Obviously, Sean Payton's a Super Bowl winning coach. I get it, but without Bo doing a good job, they wouldn't be in this position. And
let's not forget, Big Dog called this with Bo years ago.
Can I
at
clarify
Auburn.
This?
Bailey, did he not? Yeah.
Can I clarify this?
Yes. What a player.
You know why Big Dog? Because this is how he picks every quarterback. This is funny.
I had to stir the pot.
This is how he picks
after he gave Bo Nix
every like 90% of his quarterbacks. Ready? 10% are when you're in the room and he's like, that guy's gonna be good. I've seen one throw. Turner, mark it down. The other 90% are guys that I say some comment emotionally like, that guy fucking sucks. And then I'll be like, no, he doesn't. You don't know what you're talking about. I literally shit on Bo Nix one night when I bet against him when he was at Auburn. And he was so fucking horrible. And my dad that night just decided to like Bo Nix. It had nothing to do with, he had no idea who he was. He would have never known his name or watched him. But because I disliked him, he had to root for him. And so that is what happened.
Bo knows. Gotta love Bo.
Do you think, quickly, do you think the Chiefs... Do you think the Chiefs should be the favorite here to come out of the AFC, or do you think the Bills are the favorite?
Well, the Chiefs will be the favorite just because they
not betting wise. Your favorite
home field. No, Bills. Bills all the way. Bills are winning the Super
Bills
Bowl.
Bills Mafia. Okay,
give me the Bills.
Let's go through the rest of these games. We'll go somewhat quickly. Quick. Rams Bills was one of the more fun games of the day. 44-42, absolute shootout. Obviously, we talked about it. Josh Allen, he's the MVP. There's no question about it. 342 passing yards. 82 rushing yards on 10 carries, 6 total touchdowns. First quarterback in NFL history to have 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns in a single game. Now, they were all quarterback sneaks, but whatever, beside the point. All right, Josh Allen's unbelievable. He gives defenses nightmares. Great comeback. I will say, the Bills, Sean McDermott, I think is not a good coach. I've said it for a long time. His defense was atrocious yesterday, and then he cost them the game at the end of the game. They were down 2 scores. They were down 9 because the Rams had scored but missed an extra point. It was 1st and goal on the 1 with what? Like a minute 10, right? Roughly, minute 10. And he has all 3 timeouts.
Clock was stopped.
Clock was stopped. Yeah. So if you score a touchdown there, which you assume in 4 plays you're going to do, if you score a touchdown on that play, then you get 100% guarantee that you could kick the ball deep and get a stop in 3 downs and get the ball back with a chance to win with a field goal. Instead, Joe Brady decided to call a quarterback sneak and kept the clock running, which was a huge mistake, but it wasn't the worst mistake. The worst mistake was McDermott then calling timeout, because instead of letting the clock run, and how it doesn't matter, you're never wasting a full 40 seconds there. You just go up and run a quick play. Maybe it takes 20 seconds because it was a sneak and he was tackled. Now there's 50 seconds to go and you throw it. And even if you don't score, but you score one of the next plays and you use all your timeouts, you might get the ball back with 40 seconds, but you have a shot. And it's not over. To call timeout there was the dumbest one. I know JB had a hot take on that Mike Elko one last week where it wasn't as dumb as he made it. This, like in terms of just logical moves, this was one of the dumbest decisions of the NFL season by a head coach, correct?
Yeah, correct. The one thing I will say about it is, and I'm not partial to Sean McDermott anyway, I would just always tell you Buffalo's not going to fire him because it's Buffalo and they've been relevant for so long with him there. But I would be curious. We didn't see the presser at the end of it. Maybe you did. I didn't see it.
I did not. I need to watch it.
Because, and I'm the biggest Josh Allen fan there is, and he's my guy. But when he came over to the sideline, they were talking, and I don't know, because quarterbacks usually have down and distance and whatever. And Josh Allen had gotten in the end zone multiple times, sneaking it, whatever. And the conversation they were having looked like, hey, why the hell did you sneak that? Like, he just went up to the line and was like, hey, I've already gotten in twice. We're just going to sneak this bitch in and then we'll kick it off. Like, whatever. And didn't think like, oh, maybe he didn't think Sean McDermott was going to use a timeout if he didn't get in, right? Like, he was going to get back up there. But to me, the conversation looked like, so you just called your own number and snuck it? And he was looking at him like, yeah, I've already done it twice. And man, who knows? But I would find that
it would have been. It's still McVay's or still McDermott's fault. You still calling timeout here to me was the dumb part about it.
Yeah. You can't because in the game is pretty much over. Yes. But I have a hard time too because like it's easier to think up in the box like Joe Brady. I have a hard time thinking him going, hey, let's sneak it here, knowing damn well like if you don't, then you're going to lose 20 to 25 seconds where you could have 4 passes at the end zone that are taking 3 seconds each, right? To me, I just don't think he said, hey, sneak it. I think
you're probably
Josh probably got under center and said, hey, I like this look. I'm just going to sneak it in and get it in the end zone and get it done with. To me, I'm hard pressed to think that they actually called that. But I agree. If you can't call timeout there, you just have to get back on the line of scrimmage and run another quick play.
I'm just curious. Yeah. I don't know. Are you saying that he just did it at the line where he decided to go? Or do you think he called it and called it at the, like, changed the play at the line to a sneak?
No, yeah. He liked the look and just made the call.
Okay.
Sneak. Hey, we can sneak this and I'm going to get in. But I don't think that was the actual play call because that makes no sense. Like anybody that's watching that game or calling the plays knows, hey, we can't afford to be tackled inbounds right here. We have to just throw a slant or whatever and get the ball in the end zone. So
I do want to see. I want to see that press conference to hear what.
Anyway, great game regardless. Yeah, but you can't burn a timeout there, especially when you're never getting onside.
Right.
Kicks, so.
Bad loss for the Bills. Defense got absolutely torched. Nakua was unbelievable.
Killed him. Yeah, he made some crazy catches. Game after that was Bears-Niners. Shout out Bears getting outgained. What was it? 305 yards to 2 at halftime.
Dude, that was one of the craziest stats I've ever seen.
That's what I told you when we were talking about this. I was like, dude, they should have just waited to fire Eberflus because it's so much easier to just blame it all. And now it's like Big Cat was saying, you think you're going to get the interim head coach bump, and it's like you're getting outgained by 300 yards. You have 2 yards at halftime.
310 to 2.
Yeah, it was awesome.
310 to 2. So shout out Caleb Williams, who was incredible with 130 yards, all in garbage time. Still couldn't even get over $150 despite being down by 30 and the defense playing off coverage. By the way, that defense got absolutely torched the last couple weeks, and the Bears could not get a single yard.
Given up. I mean, that's a straight give up.
It's funny because a lot of time, like you said, a lot of times a coach gets fired and the players hated the coach and they rally around the assistant. That was the opposite of that last night. And like you've seen the other coaches who got fired this year, I would say, I don't remember what week they fired Robert Saleh. But I don't think they got just murdered the next week. I think they at least played hard. I think Jeff Ulbrich, the interim, is an absolute idiot. But them, and then you had obviously the Saints deal where they fired Dennis Allen. They hated Dennis Allen. They came out and won the last week as like a big dog.
You got the Rizzler.
The Rizzler, who will be only coaching for a couple more games and go back to being a special teams coordinator. Regardless, that shows you the level of competency in that Bears building. And
they should honestly bring Big Cat in to coach the team at this point.
It'd actually be hilarious.
Because he'd be good for the rah-rah, come on, Bears. Like, let's just play hard, guys, whatever. Just have them call their own plays. Like, it doesn't matter. And then, I mean, that's much better than having an actual coach out there and getting embarrassed like this.
He'd be pretty positive, you would think, right?
Oh yeah. He would build Caleb up there and try to give the guys a good pep talk. I heard a funny one, I guess it was earlier this year in the offseason. They were talking about Dave buying a stake in a team, like not owning a team, but maybe whatever, being a stake. And he was like, yeah, but if I did that, I'd be the offensive coordinator. I'd call the plays. He's like, oh no, I couldn't be sitting at home when these guys are calling these dumb plays. He goes, I might do a horrible job, but I don't care. I'm calling the plays. That's what he said. If I own the team, I'm calling the plays.
I don't think they would ever let Dave own a team. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would they actually? You think Goodell would probably block that? Don't you?
Oh think? Yeah. No, he could never own. Yeah.
But that would be hilarious if if Dave Portner was calling plays. It would make. I just would love it because it would just upset so many people. Yeah. So the moving on down the list here quickly. So I know that this was last night, but this was a good game. Chiefs obviously escape with the doink. Should have lost the game. I will say this. Justin Herbert is a baller. I mean, dude just gets leveled every single game. His offensive line is not great. If you take Ladd McConkey off that team, which he didn't play last night, that is the worst receiving core I have seen on an NFL team in over a decade. It is pathetic what they have out there. I mean, you got Quentin Johnson out there.
Great player.
Playing fucking butterballs. I mean, he couldn't catch if you tossed him like a bouncy ball that was like into his hands, big giant. He couldn't fucking catch that thing. He is horrific. Absolutely fucking horrible.
Not time to give up on him yet.
I think Jonathan gave up on him too quickly. I don't know about that.
Yeah, you nailed it. I was going to say all the same things. No help around him. Down his starting running back. Offensive line's not great. Zero weapons, and Herbert down 13-0 at halftime should have won the game. So
and by the way,
missed a big throw.
That one hurt.
Just like timing. I mean, he's got people in his face. He's letting the ball go, 50 yards. It's not like it's an easy throw, but just overshot Palmer on that. They score there. They probably win the game, but. They played a really good second half, and then
defense is awesome. By the way, just a fun stat: Patrick Mahomes in his last 5 games has a lower QBR than his opponent in 4 of the 5 games, and they've won all but one of those games, which was against the Bills. Mahomes has not had a great year. The Chiefs continue to get lucky. Not only did they doink one in, they got away with just penalties left and right. The holds on the last drive were atrocious. The right tackle was false starting on about 70% of the snaps.
Done it for 2 years. Thing with Mahomes, I will say, I mean, obviously you got Hopkins, who's, a good player, but tail end of his career. And then you have Travis Kelce, who looks like he just doesn't care, which he's kind of done that ever since he's dated Taylor Swift, obviously. But the one thing that you will say is like, come playoff time, Travis Kelce will turn it on, right? It's like they have that switch where they
Mahomes
just,
will.
they both
they
will.
Don't have enough to win,
and they're 11-1. It just seems like they don't even. It's like, they're gonna get the first round bye, and I don't think they'll win. I don't think they'll win the Super Bowl.
It's so frustrating to me because the Chiefs should have 4 or 5 losses legitimately if it weren't for the officiating giving them every fucking call and then a few lucky bounces like the blocked field goal in Denver. The Bills would get the home field advantage, and that could matter. I mean, I still think Buffalo...
That matters a ton.
I still think Buffalo will beat them, but I think that could be the difference in who wins.
Matters a ton. I mean, think about it. I mean, obviously you'd expect this kid to make this kick, right? But last week with the illegal shift on Vegas... That it was a false start, but they called it a legal shift, so they let the Chiefs keep the ball. I mean, there's been so many. I was telling you, I think there's
field goal by Denver, not throwing a flag in the end zone for Arizona for Atlanta. The week before, getting a 4th and 17 on a pass interference from Cincinnati. They legitimately should have 5 losses. Yeah, it's crazy.
They could easily have 5 losses.
It's crazy.
All the other walk-off wins they have. I mean, I
mean, it's just bullshit. Okay, I'm gonna run through these. Seattle beats Arizona. 30-18, Seahawks take control of that division. Will the Seahawks... I'm going to ask you questions as we go through these, and we'll just speed through them.
Yeah.
Will the Seahawks win this division after... They lead it after yesterday. Will they hold on and win this?
How many games are they up?
They're up just 1, I believe.
I'm going to say they hold on to it.
I think they're the best team in that division right now.
Yeah, I'm going to say they hold on.
McDonald's done a really good job in his first year. I'll hand it to him.
Yeah.
Do the Cardinals blow this up at this point? I mean, every time you think they're kind of good, they go back to who they actually are.
I don't know what they're going to end up doing. I mean, I don't think they have Kyler for several more years, right? So, I don't know what they can do.
I didn't even realize, by the way, real quick about Seattle, they're actually 1 game ahead of the Rams now. The Rams are in second. So the Rams don't only have a path by going through the wild card. They could actually get that spot.
Do they play Seattle?
They already lost to the Rams once, and the final game of the year is in LA.
Okay, so I'm going to say no, the Rams win the division.
Okay, Rams win the division. I think it's going to be tight. I don't know. I don't trust the Rams fully yet until I see them show some consistency, but they have looked much, much better. And that offense, that team is better than Seattle when healthy. But it's just they're a game behind, and it just depends on scheduling.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Dolphins escape with the Jets, to my chagrin, would have cost us a chance to get to the final 5 in our Survivor League, although we did partially chop. Jets just find and invent new improbable ways to lose every single week. They have the ball, chance to just run the clock out and kick a field goal, win the game. And, of course, they make it 20 times harder, pitching the ball in first down and losing 4 yards. Rodgers takes a sack. Devontae Adams runs out of bounds. And, of course, the Dolphins not only tie it as time expires, then win the toss and go down the field and score a touchdown.
Yep.
The Jets suck. Can the Dolphins – you already talked about this. I was going to ask you if the Dolphins could sneak in the playoffs, but you don't think so.
No.
Okay, Eagles 22, Panthers 16. Eagles avoid a disastrous upset at home. The guy who bet $3 million was
What a sweat. What a sweat.
What a sweat.
Oh, he owns legit at least 100,000 of that 400,000 winning. It's hilarious. We just hit 3.1 million making only 400,000.
So dumb. What a sweat by Xavier Legette. Legette dropped, if you didn't watch it, about 30 seconds to go in the game to put them up. He dropped an easy touchdown that would have won the game for the Panthers. That's this typical Eagles winning in lucky fashion. Adam Thielen is just an ageless wonder who just continues to stun how good he's unbelievable. And then last point here, they need to fucking get rid of the tush push. It's disgusting. It's an embarrassment to the game of football. They need to remove it from the
rugby.
Game. It's just disgusting. Bucks beat the Raiders. Poor Aiden O'Connell goes down with a season-ending knee injury. It was actually kind of a cheap shot in the Bucks game. He hit him late.
See it.
No, yeah, you did see it. You go, oh, that was kind of a cheap shot. He was running down the sideline and the guy hit him late. We were talking about it yesterday.
Oh, O'Connell?
O'Connell.
Got it.
Did I say somebody else?
No. I lost. I thought we were talking. I forgot that O'Connell started and Ritter came in for him. Yeah, I remember.
He's out for the year and on that cheap shot.
Son of a bitch. That's
dirty
my backup
hit.
quarterback.
Yeah, you had to almost
my dynasty league.
Good thing you didn't start him.
Oh, I love how you just casually go over the Steelers here. The 10-3
No, I have
Pittsburgh
them. Hold
Steelers.
on. I just didn't go in a specific order.
Mike Tomlin.
Vikings.
Genius.
Okay, go ahead. Mike Tomlin, genius. Yeah. Oh, he's so good. I was going to give him credit, but now you said, fuck the Steelers. Fuck Mike Tomlin. You know how many days it's been? 2,897 days since Mike Tomlin's last won a fucking playoff game.
That was a fake number, folks. He didn't even look it up. He guessed.
No, I know it in my head every single day.
Nope.
I know the number.
Guess.
Want to bet?
No.
That's what I thought.
I have no interest in betting on that.
That's right.
Mike Tomlin. Who are the Steelers probably going to play in the first round then? Is there going to be the 2 or 3?
If they're the 3, they'd play the Chargers. If they're the 2, they would play the Broncos.
Looks like Mike's finally getting that first playoff win.
Oh, you think they're going to beat? You think they would beat the Chargers?
No, but they'll beat the Broncos.
I don't think they're going to be the 3 seed. I don't think they're going to be the 2 seed. I think they're going to be the 3 seed.
Because Buffalo's 2. Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, those could flip. Chargers, Broncos could flip too. Okay. Moving on, because the Steelers suck and are worthless. By the way, Jameis Winston, the Lord could not deliver him from throwing picks. He didn't throw any interceptions, return for touchdowns, no pick sixes, but he threw lots of interceptions, Lord. Okay, 5 picks in the last 2 games. But Jameis, deliver me from evil and stop throwing interceptions, Jameis.
I love Jameis.
He's the man. We had the Vikings winning 42-21. Falcons had 500 yards of total offense, outgained the Vikings by 70 yards and had over 7 yards per play, but only put up 21 points. Kirk threw another 2 picks. He's got 6 interceptions and 0 touchdowns the last 2 games. 4 consecutive losses by the Falcons after starting 6-3. Do you think the Falcons should go to Michael Penix Jr.?
No, and Gruden goes, if Michael Penix Jr. is any good, they already made the change, is what he said.
Glad you said that, because I don't think they should either, because Michael Penix Jr. sucks.
I feel like
Kirk needs to wake up.
Kirk Cousins does this every year where he has obviously it's been a bad stretch, but almost like a 2 or 3 game stretch where he just throws picks and everybody's calling for his head, and then he gets it back on the rails and then plays really well. So,
did I miss any games there?
Nah, I think that's it.
By the way, did you see? I didn't realize, because I guess I wasn't paying attention when you said this, that Scott Frost is returning as Central Florida's head coach.
National champion Scott Frost.
Self-proclaimed national champion. That Stu God's is strong in you.
2017 national champs UCF. Got robbed of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, Gus Malzahn
undefeated,
left to take an OC. Well, so was Liberty last year, and they got baptized in the New Year's Six Bowl. Did UCF play in a BCS Bowl that year? Or not a BCS, in a New Year's Six Bowl? They had to have, right? Did they win that? They won their bowl game? The fuck did they play?
I think Auburn.
Oh, that's right. They did win.
National champs.
Scott Frost was with the Rams last year, I think.
Was he?
Or this year.
After he got canned from Nebraska.
He's like an offensive.
He's heading home to UCF, baby.
UCF.
National champion winning
beautiful
coach.
State of Florida. Yeah. All right, that's all we got for you this week. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode number 62. Make sure, as I said, always like and subscribe. It's really important. Comment below. Let us know what you thought about the episode, what you like, what you didn't like. What are your thoughts on Turner going 4 out of 5 and choking on the last one in WNBA or not? Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I got nothing. I should have gone perfect in WNBA or not. I got fucked by that last picture. It was absolute horse shit that you had that in there, to be honest with you.
You mean
whatever.
this picture? Should I leave it up?
That's crazy.
Carly Samuelson.
Like, I mean, those pictures should not be allowed in a car in a selfie from 6 inches away. Those are over the line. I would have gone perfect if it wasn't for this.
Oh,
nonsense.
so now there's stipulations on what I can do in WNBA or not.
This is ridiculous.
What?
A car selfie?
What am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do?
I don't know. Post a normal picture with her standing there with her family or something.
I gave
Does she have a family?
Her sister plays in the league. Look, let's be honest. I gave you a free one on this one, okay? On number 2 with a Gumbawale.
No, that could have been a trick.
Oh, yeah, right. I gave you that one. I absolutely handed you that one.
And I nailed the boxer. With the
you get bonus points for that, but you did not go perfect.
Allegedly,
and you know why? Because you know why you didn't? Because you said, and I quote, "Is he going to go perfect today?" When you were 3 for 3, when you talk about the perfect game, it cost you the perfect game. And that's all I got for you. We'll catch you guys next week.